Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I am Stephanie Gellman, Product Manager Online Leads with Royal LePage Canada. I manage our online leads program called Smart Leads. And these are leads that come from our national website, rlpSPHERE. There are two kinds of leads in Smart Leads: designated leads and distributed leads. Designated ones come from your own listings and your agent page, and distributed ones come from competitor listings on our website. So today we are joined by Shaheen Zareh, multiple award winner and member of the home expert team from Regina, Saskatchewan.
How you doing?
Hi, Shaheen. Shaheen closed 6 online leads in 60 days shortly after joining his brokerage Smart Leads team, and he has more deals in the pipe. So today he's going to share how he achieved these amazing results, specifically with the support of rlpSPHERE's automated nurturing smart campaigns. We have Ariane from Learning Services here. She is going to man the chat and the Q&A. So if you have questions, please put those in the Q&A ideally. But if you throw them in the chat section, she will note those too. And then we'll come to the questions at the end of the interview. Okay, and what you're going to see from this interview is that it's not just the fact that Shaheen uses a great tool with the smart campaigns and Sphere. He has a great attitude. I love you, Shaheen. You have such a great attitude.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. You know, and what I love is that you view every lead as an opportunity. And really because of this, we see that you're putting actual effort into working your leads. And, you know, the other thing that I learned about Shaheen when we've chatted is he listens to advice and he uses it. Now, this seems like a really simple statement, but how many of us can truly say that we follow expert advice? Shaheen's been following the formula created by Royal LePage Canada for working online leads, and he's having great success. So what is that formula? It's fast lead acceptance, fast replies, and consistent nurturing. And he's doing that by using smart campaigns. So I'm going to get rid of the screen share. All right, and let's just have a talk here. Okay, so thank you. First off, thank you for joining me, Shaheen.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Let's start from the very beginning, you know, so we can get to know you a little bit as a person. You're not from Canada. Can you tell us about coming to Canada?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Iran, Tehran. My family, we left as refugees in 1987 from Iran, and we were lived in Pakistan for 3 years as refugees. And then from Pakistan, we were lucky enough to come to Canada, and we came right to Regina, Saskatchewan, and in 1990, and we've never left since. So yeah, that's a little journey.
That's amazing. I'm sure there's so much more to that story, yeah. But you know, our audience today is joining us from all across Canada. Can you tell us a bit about Regina and the market that you serve?
Yeah, absolutely. So Regina is, we're around 250,000 people in Regina itself. It's more of a government town. So our Saskatoon, which is our second, or I think it's probably the largest city in Saskatchewan, is more of a university town, but we're more of a government town. And we also have, you know, industries like potash and farming is a big, you know, big part of our, you know, economics here in Regina. And, you know, we love the riders. They lost last weekend, but we love our riders. But yeah, it's a very community-based city, you know, especially in the last, since I got here anyway, since 1990, the immigration has been a huge factor for real estate. It's more residential dominant, like housing, versus, condos or commercial. But those, condos and commercial has become a bigger part of our, real estate in Regina in the last, I would say, last 10 years. But yeah, so it's kind of a steady Eddie town, I would say, the best way I can describe it.
Very nice. And why did you choose real estate as a career?
Yeah, so well, my brother was in real estate in 2005, I believe. He started before me. I actually had a really good job at the time with, they're called PepsiCo Canada. By the time it was Frito-Lay Canada. And I'd started as a student, a summer student there, and I'd worked my way up to a district manager, had a very good income for, for someone who graduated a high school degree. And, I was like 27, 28. I was making really good money. And my brother kept bugging me every week, every month. Hey, you got to come to real estate. You love it. You love it. 1 year. And he just kept pursuing me. And finally I said, okay, you know what, in 2000, I think it was the summer of 2007, excuse me, like June or September or something like that, that I actually joined real estate. And then 2008 was my first full year as a realtor.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you guys started your team.
Yeah, we actually, right off the bat, we started with 4 guys. So it was myself, two other friends that were we knew each other for a long time. They joined real estate, and then my younger brother, Aideen. So we started the home expert team in 2008 was our full first year. Yeah.
Fabulous. And your team, as we saw from your various awards, is very successful.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about your team? Who are your members and what makes you guys special?
Yeah, so we actually have now, I believe there's 12 of us now. We have one more join us, but there's 12 altogether. And it kind of worked out that we have some kind of different type of, ethnicities in our group. It was never really planned like that, but just the way it worked out. So we have, agents from China, we have agents from Pakistan, we have agents from Trinidad, and we have agents from Regina, Saskatchewan as well. So it's a kind of a good mix of people that we have on our team. The best way I can describe the home expert team is even from day one, the way real estate in its nature is a very selfish business, but you can still be, selfish and successful as a team. And we found, you could do that. If you look at the pro level in any sports, basketball team has 5 players. They all have multi-million-dollar contracts. Some guys make more, some guys make less. But for them to be super successful and win, they have to work together. And I think we've found that over the years. And the biggest thing I can share about the team is, we had some people come in and come out. And one thing I learned is it's really important that you have to have your values and principles, aligned. If you don't have that, what may be important to me might not be important to someone else. So, not front loading that conversation before you bring a team member on is super important to make sure those values and principles align.
That's so true. And you're right, because you're all helping each other grow
Absolutely.
And succeed. And as mentioned, the diversity of your team, you guys speak 5, 6 different languages between all of you?
Yeah, I think it's about 6 languages between all of you. Yeah.
And that's got to help your success, or at least help in terms of opening up the different kind of people you can work with.
Absolutely, and it just gives you another tool to work with. And sometimes, it's if I have a client that's from China, for example, the English is a barrier. Having someone like Joe Lee in our team or John Chung, they can definitely, they can help me with the transaction, or there's a communication that I can't describe to them properly. They can come in and describe it to them. So having that, just another tool in the tool bag. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about the leads. So, as we shared with everybody in our big headline, you started with the Royal LePage online leads just a few months ago.
Yeah.
And you closed 6 of them in 60 days, which is pretty darn remarkable. Tell us why you think you've had such success with your leads.
I think part of the one thing I really noticed from the leads from day one was they weren't your traditional internet leads. because typically, I mean, outside of 0.2 homes, because I think that's more listing specific. Like, I don't know how they run the algorithms, but anything else that I've seen is typically you force the client to register on your website, and then you got to go after them and say, hey, bug them to, you know, get an interview or do a showing. With rlpSPHERE, what I found was the client is the one that's booking the time. So it's like, hey, Shaheen, can I see this property tomorrow at 6:30 or whatever, you know. So I would, if I was to guess right now, over 90% of the leads were actually booked appointments. And then the minute they inquired, a text message went out from, you know, rlpSPHERE saying, hey, how do you want to communicate? By text, by email, by phone call? And again, you know, over 90% of the time they would reply back text, email, or call. And then I would do that. So when they said text, I would send them a text. If they said email, I would send them an email. And I would just reconfirm saying, hey, hey, Joe, is tomorrow at 9 o'clock still a good time to meet? Or I would give them a call if that's the best way for them to communicate. So really, that was how I started with I just could not believe how willing they were to book a time. They were actually booking a time. So yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the leads, for our audience, in case you're not familiar, on our listings, there's two different forms people can fill out. One of them is a form where they fill in questions, and then there's another form where they request to view the property and book a showing. And
right.
And yeah, and so you're getting a lot of these ones where people are asking for a showing, and you've used the smart campaigns and rlpSPHERE to give them an immediate reply. So you don't even need to do that. You could be replying to a lead right now for all they know.
Absolutely. But, yeah.
Why are you working leads if you're already so well established in business? You're winning awards already. Why did you decide, well, now is the time I want leads?
Yeah, because success can make you blind and stupid at the same time. So I think I don't want to be blind or stupid, you know, as you become more successful. I think, you know, two things that have really helped me is number one, I try to check my ego at all times. And number two, when you have an ego, you also have a lot of blind spots. So if, you know, and part of every industry, no matter if you're real estate, restaurant business, or any industry, they have a certain formula that you need to be successful. So I give you a very basic example. You know, it's like me trying to start fire without oxygen. Well, that you can't do that. You need to have oxygen for you to be able to start fire. So part of me working these leads was you know, just for me, it's a practice of not only, you know, I like to, you know, when I'm working with my buyers agents, or I'm, you know, it helps me coach them as well, right? So it keeps me sharp on my skill set. I don't want to become a dinosaur in this industry in 10 years from now that I don't know how to reply to these type of leads. So that's the way I look at it, is that I see my blind spots. I try to work on them at all times. And I don't want to become, you know, let my ego eat at that. So, yeah.
You know, and that's very blunt of you to say, and I appreciate that. Now, where did you learn all this? Like, how did you learn specifically how to excel in real estate? Because I will have occasionally people will ask me, well, what training should they do? Should they take a course, a mentor? Where did your skills come from, Shaheen?
Well, like, yeah, early on, like I worked as we call Leader Post here. So it's our local newspaper. And this is when Leader Post, you know, getting the newspaper delivered to your house was still cool. We would go, like I think I was 10 or 12 or 13 years old. And I did this for probably 4 or 5 years. You go door to door to sell. So if you didn't sell the paper, you didn't get any money. So at that time, you can make like $80 in a day, which was like crazy for a 13-year-old kid to make $80, and they would buy you lunch or something if you did really good. I think one year I won a Disney World trip, but I took the money and not the trip. So
wow,
that's probably where it started. But as for mentors, I don't have too many mentors per se. I think there's a lot of mentors I have. They don't even know that they're my mentor. A, I have never met them, or B, you know, I've watched, like, you know, I give you an example. When I had first joined real estate here, in 2008. I think it was the 2008, 2009 summer. And there's a lady by the name of Joyce. She works at Remax. And that year, I think it was 08 or 09, she was actually the #1 agent in Remax world, not even the country, but the world. So she was super successful. And one thing I learned from her right away was, it was a Sunday afternoon, like 2, 3 o'clock, and it was a beautiful day. I couldn't find this new subdivision. I had a client I wanted to show this house. It was her listing. I couldn't find it. I don't think Google Maps or whatever wasn't as sophisticated as it is today. And I finally had to, suck it up and call her and said, "Hey, Joyce, I can't find this." To this day, I can't. She just 10 minutes, like, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm here." 10 minutes later on a Sunday, she rolls up, drives me to the listing, and, I get in and show the client. So I learned right there and then the importance of, always being available in this industry if you want to be super successful, and not having an ego. She could have just said, "Too bad, too sad, go find it." Or she could have given me 100 different excuses, but she wanted to do what's best for her client and was sell the house. And, I learned a lot that day.
That's a really beautiful story.
Yeah.
What about the SMART campaigns? And when you told me why you use those?
Well, I think, like, the best way I can describe the way you guys have done your research with the SMART campaigns and the write-ups. I really like the wording of the write-ups. It just is so basic, so simple. Like, the best way I can describe it is like this. Imagine if I said to you guys, I have an assistant, her name is, or his name is Royal, first name and last page SPHERE, and they're available 24 hours a day. They're doing my open houses. They take the client's name, they organize it for me. They reply to the client with, 15 different or 20 different scripts, and I don't have to pay her a thing until I perform. And then, I pay a certain percentage of my, of my commission. They never call in sick. They're never argumentative. They never bug me. So it's like the perfect, you're having a 24-hour assistant / however you want to look at it, 365 days a year. So I've used other formats, but I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like, they reply, they want to see houses. I don't know. Sometimes they're mean or cranky. That's fine. That's part of the industry. Every industry has a client that's going to be mean and cranky. But overall, it's like the perfect assistant that does 99% of the work for you. And I've learned that I'm a realtor. I'm not a content writer. I'm not a marketer. I've really learned that quickly. I tell my team all the time, that's not your job. I like scripts. I was using this example the other day. Name me a movie that's ever been made, or a movie that's ever won an Academy Award without a script. Nobody can name me one. So, these are things that are important to me. Like, there's a script there already made for you, and I don't really have to do too much all I have to do is just be available.
I really like that script analogy, because it's true. When we think of, award-winning actors, they're not writing the words. Somebody else is writing the words for them, but they're making it their own, right? And that's what you're doing, which is really amazing that you're enjoying that. So, just for our participants' reference, what we're talking about is specifically in rlpSPHERE, which all of you have access to. Royal LePage Canada has made SMART campaigns. And what these are, they automatically attach to your incoming leads, and they'll do 99.9% of the work for you, right? So I see, Shaheen, I can kind of look behind the curtain in a sense, and I see that you are extremely fast when you accept a lead. The way Smart Leads goes is people are offered a lead and they don't really know too much about them, and they have to accept the lead to find out stuff. You accept your leads within 32 seconds, okay? the industry average is 15 hours or more. And unfortunately, over half of all real estate online inquiries don't even get answered. So when somebody like Shaheen is accepting it within 32 seconds using the autoresponder in rlpSPHERE to say, hey, Stephanie, thank you for your inquiry on the Royal LePage website, while Stephanie, the lead, is still on the website, that blows people's minds. I know some people who refuse to use those kind of campaigns because they feel like the wording doesn't match their style of speaking. They think that the outreach schedule is too aggressive because at first there's messages like every day, I think, and then it spaces out. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think realtors should realize what they're good at and what they suck at, right? So I know what I'm good at and what I suck at. I'm not a content writer. You know, like I don't have, you know, you see why I accept a lead in 32 seconds or a minute, because I'm not sitting there writing content. I have the time. So, you know, I think realtors need to listen to their own advice when it comes to, you know, and you have a client that you're trying to show a house to, and then they bring their cousin, and then they bring their aunt, and then they bring their second cousin, and everybody's a home inspector, and everybody's an engineer. You know, that feeling you have when you're trying to do what's right for the client, and you know they're not listening to you, and they say they listen to you, but they're not listening to you. So I think realtors need to listen to their own advice and realize what they really suck at and what they're really good at, which is being a realtor, and focus on that more, right? And you know, I always tell my friends and my family, you know, like listen to some of the advice you give to your own kids, and then your life will be much better. You know, we give all this great advice to our own kids, you know, don't do this, share, blah, blah, blah. And then when it comes to ourselves, we don't listen, not follow one of those things. So it's very, like, you know, and people that are probably listening into this probably have heard this before, but you gotta follow the process. That's what it's there for. Like, you know, unfortunately, you're not good at writing scripts. That's just what it is. I'm not a video editor. I hire somebody. Maybe when I first started, I did one video. Now I do 8 videos because, you know, we have the funds available, but you don't have to have, this is doing everything for you. They don't even want their money. You can give them the money once the deal is closed. I don't know for how the splits go across the Canada, so I don't want to speak about some folks might be paying, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but the way we have it set up here in Regina with Mike and Ron, we pay them once the deal closes. So it doesn't cost me, there's no upfront cost. So I just stop being something you're not. Be a realtor.
I love it. Yeah. You know, and I think it takes a big person to look inside and, like you said, know what they suck at and trust the experts. Royal LePage Canada paid the experts to write messages that work based on best practices, based on many different expert outreach plans. Yeah. Okay, so we got speed down. That's only half of it though, because the other key to closing online leads is long-term nurturing. Right. Because, you know, some of them might buy right away, but some of them will take months or even sometimes longer, especially in markets where, you know, things are really competitive. So can you talk to us about long-term nurturing and what you do for one that you know will be a while?
So one of the things I like to, you know, and it doesn't work every time, every client's different, but I believe in building a plan with my clients. So the key I find in selling is not about selling, but influencing. So my goal with my clients is that, you know, if I can get, you know, again, writing the script, I have a script for how to, you know, attract them and invite them back to my office to do a buyer's presentation or a seller's presentation. And especially with the buyers, the key is to influence them with the proper information enough that they say to themselves, I cannot, you know, make a decision without Shaheen or whoever they're working with, right? So that's really important. That script, that sitting down for 20 or 30 minutes during a Zoom call, or if they come, like this Saturday, I did 3 buyers presentation, and I don't know if they're going to buy this week or next week, but they're going to buy the next 30 to 60, and they're all actually rlpSPHERE leads. But they get, we show them a house, we made, we made a connection when after I showed them a house, and then I invite them back in a certain time to meet me in my office. And, that I find that really helps for the nurturing of long-term when it comes to keeping up with the contact with your clients, especially the leads that are not, right now there's a huge inventory issue, good inventory issue in Regina. And I think that's the problem across Canada. So by having that influence on them up front is huge, I think.
Well, and you don't want to lose touch with them, because when the right home becomes available in a few months.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. What about, okay, so we talked briefly about the leads that you love, the ones that are requesting showings. Those ones are pretty easy to, know what to say to. What about leads that don't have an actual message? They just have the sort of generic, I would like to find out more about this property.
So I always go back to them, and I just, like the rlpSPHERE does their, replies on my behalf. But those ones that don't book at exact time, I look at, typically they'll tell you text or call or something. They say something in those, in there typically. If they don't, I still reach out to them, because right now, majority of people, I don't have the stat in front of me, but they enjoy text or email, right? So I do both. I send the email out on top of what rlpSPHERE is doing, and I send a text out. And basically, hey, thanks for inquiring about this property. It's a very simple spiel, like, do you want to look at this house? Are you working with an agent? And last question I ask, and I know my team it was a challenge. I can't speak about other agents, but it's a tough question to ask somebody, are you pre-approved? So the way I word it is like, have you already done that work? If not, are you interested in some names or referrals that my clients have had great experiences with? So I'm not telling them that you have to use my people, but I'm sharing that information is available if you need it. So that's what I do with the ones that don't have a specific address. And again, they reply back, and if they don't reply back, I sometimes ask the question, would it be out of the question if I send you market updates? And most of the time, or is it a bad idea if I send you market updates? And they say, no, it's not. So, okay, here's some market updates. So, yeah.
It's a good idea, is asking them, if it's okay with them. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, what about those leads that ask 1,000 questions? They want the property taxes, age of home, details about repairs, renovations. They're asking everything and then some.
Yeah, and that's, those ones are I used to get mad at those people because, it's just like annoying, right? And then I looked at it from their perspective and said, okay, it's probably the biggest decision. I always tell buyers the following, and even sellers, but buyers mostly, like most people don't, buying a home is it's a major business, a serious business, right? So I actually compliment them. I say, you know what? It sounds like you're a very organized, very detailed person. And because you are such an organized and detailed person, what's a good time where we can meet and go through this thoroughly so there's nothing mixed? Because sometimes with text message and emails, things get mixed. So why don't you bring your list of questions to me on Saturday or Sunday or whatever, Friday, a day that we can meet together and go over them in person. And typically they're open to that, right? And sometimes they're not, and that's okay. Just give them as much information as you can and move on with it. That you're gonna get some people, there's just not, they don't see any value in realtors, and that's okay. That's okay too.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I love the idea of giving them a compliment and not just outright giving them every single answer to the question, because you want to kind of draw them in a bit more. Right. What about just straight up bad leads? Because they're not all gold. That would be impossible.
Say that again,
What
Stephanie.
about bad leads? Can you tell us about some bad leads that you've had? Because, you know, we know that there are bad ones out there, and I think it's important to share one story.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had, like, you know, I've had clients that, you know, they, you know, I give you an example. There was this, about 2 or 3 weekends ago, the individuals applied on Smart Leads and asked a question about if this lot can be subdivided. And I was on a Saturday, and I replied back, well, we have to check with the city, or we have to check, is maybe I wasn't direct enough, but I said, we have to check and I'll get back to you, right? He replies back, never mind, you know, I'll ask somebody else. So I went back, not saying, you know, again, I was, you know, the rude comment that he made. I went back, sir, like, the city of Regina opens up Monday morning at 8:30. I'll get you, until then, unfortunately, I can't give you that answer. So anyways, I got him the answer. He never really replied after that, but you're going to get people that just are unhappy, or, you know, they want to prove a point, or they want to, you know, think they know more than that you do. And that's fine. Let them have their 5 minutes of whatever it is and move on. Because it used to really bother me, and I would sometimes get into it with these type of people, but it's truly a waste of energy.
No, that's so true. And, you know, sometimes when you know that it's going nowhere, it just gives you more time to focus on the people who are serious. And
Absolutely.
absolutely. So I'm going to open up. We have time for some Q&A. I see that there's a couple questions that came in the chat. Let me go through and see what I can find. Kind of, you know, I know there were some people just asking general stuff about, well, what are these leads, you know, for people maybe who didn't hear it right at the start. So specific, yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to pop them in the chat for you here.
I love
because
it.
I've saved them all here, so I will pop them in the chat there if that's all right by you.
Question cool. Number one. That. All right. Question number one, is there a way to accept leads automatically? So no, you cannot accept the leads automatically. And, you know, that's from Anna Lee, and I'll tell you why. It's kind of part of the design of the system, because though rlpSPHERE will follow up automatically, we do, you know, want the human realtor to be able to do a personalized reply as soon as possible. And so it's not an automatic thing. We want to make sure that you're, you know, awake and there to be able to reply to the person's specific question. So with the Sphere thing, there will be an immediate thank you for your inquiry on the Royal LePage website. And then what does it say, Shaheen? Do you prefer text, email, or a phone call? I think is what it says.
Basically, it says, thank you for inquiring. You know, we'll get back to you. You know, do you prefer text? And then it also said, if you don't want to hear from us, say stop in big bold letters. So yeah, it gives them the option to stop. So.
And that's part of CASL compliance. So just for all of you in the audience to know, if you're using a different kind of system and it doesn't have some kind of stop or unsubscribe, you're probably breaking the law. So that's another good reason to use the Sphere one, because it's all compliant with our regulations. So there's a question from Nadia here. Do you create your own videos?
No, we have, you know, for like basically our walkthrough videos, mostly we do walkthrough videos of a house. We hire someone, a video, he works for other agents as well in the city. So they come and do all the videos and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we don't do any of that. And then we also have a marketing specialist that just, you know, posts those videos on social media and different platforms for us. But yeah, the videos we don't do, no.
No, and I think you kind of touched on that at one point when you were saying that you're not a content creator. You're, you know, you're a salesperson, and that's what you're good at. Okay, we have a question just about pay and cost. So on the Royal LePage site, right, there's the two kinds of leads. One, you're going to get leads from your own listings, and you want to work those really hard and really well, use the campaigns. and there's no cost. And then the other ones are distributed leads that are going to come from competitor listings. Those will have a cost, but it's going to vary across the country, across the office. So, you'd have to ask your manager. Okay, so if you want to know about that, Teresa or anyone else out there, you just talk to your manager. Okay, we have a question here. Do you know your conversion rate, Shaheen?
Off the top of my head, I don't right now know that. I don't want to give you, but what I can
it's a
tell
good
you,
rate. I mean,
I think it's a good rate, but I would say it's the more, I mean, I'm more impressed about, how these clients are actually booking the appointment, right? So that's up to me now. Like I can share with you that there's at least right now 20 buyers that I have in the queue. We just can't find good inventory, and they all come from Royal LePage Sphere, and that's a real fact. That's a real number right now.
They're all coming from smart leads.
Exactly. That comes all from smart leads. So if I was able to find a good inventory for them, they will buy tomorrow. That's a real number.
Mm-hmm. So your biggest challenge is the supply.
Our inventory is not the best right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now there's a question about how many leads, from Johan. A question that specific about how many leads can be delivered in a certain area, that is extremely specific. I'm going to ask you to email me, and I'll put up my contact information at the end, because there'd have to be some mathematical calculations done to determine that, to let you know what can be expected. All right. So as we wait and see, here we go. So let's see how many leads are coming in per month. 6 deals in 60 days. Is that 100 leads or 1,000 leads? Okay, well, it certainly was not 1,000. It certainly was not, it was closer to the 100 number. Yeah, off the top of my head, right? Like I said, we didn't crunch the numbers to look at exactly how many leads you've received. I don't know if you know off the top of your head.
I think the question that sometimes gets missed is that how much work did I do to get those 60 leads? Like zero. I pressed a button.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the point, is what you're doing, and we can see your success is really, well, you didn't have to do anything to generate the leads, right?
Zero. I can't take zero. Like this, we did not. I did zero.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of if you're in the position, actually, and I'm going to jump back on my screen share to tell people, things that they can do today, because I think people are starting to get excited and they wonder, well, what can they do, right? What can I do? Can I get leads at my office? So one of the things that you want to do is you want to look at, is there an opportunity in your area? Because like I said, it's going to vary across the whole country. Some areas are going to have more leads than others. Some won't have any. Unfortunately, like Quebec does not participate in DDF, so they don't have distributed leads at all in Quebec. But even if you can't get distributed leads, you can still generate your own. You can use rlpSPHERE to generate your own leads for free. So there's a lot of cool tools in there that you can use. You get a free website. And then whether you're generating your own leads or you're getting them from your company or somewhere else, what we want to remember to do is respond as quickly as possible. Use the tools provided. Like Shaheen said, he has basically a personal assistant that he doesn't have to pay that's doing a lot of his marketing and responses for him. And you all have those exact same things at your fingertips. Okay. Don't overthink it. I think that we talked a lot about wasting time on arguing with the experts, and you know, be okay to constructive criticism. Shaheen, what do you have for, you know, kind of wrap up advice for people? I'm sure I probably said some of it here.
Well, I think sometimes, like, you know, they're getting worry about the things you can, how can you influence your buyer? What type of information is, you know, what is important to them? Okay, so instead of worrying about, you know, what content to write, go do some research on. I give you an example. You know, when I meet a buyer, one of the things I talk to them about is like, look, in Regina, since January 1 till now, we've had about 2,700 homes sold. Over 43% were 3 bedrooms and 34% were 4 bedrooms. So it's almost 80% of our market, that our single family dwelling, is, you know, have 3 or 4 bedrooms. So one day, I always tell this to buyers, one day you're going to become a seller. And most buyers forget this. One day they're going to become a seller. So you have a better chance to put yourself in a better position to buy in a home that's 3 or 4 bedroom, if you can find a good one that meets your needs and all those other kind of stuff. So by being able to free myself up, I can do that type of research, which is on our MLS matrix. I look up those kind of things because that's real facts for me that I can, you know, influence my client, versus sitting here and writing 80 different replies that RLP has already done. Do I agree with every little word? Probably I don't, but it works. It really doesn't matter if you don't like the way the wording is, you know, it sounds, or it's not, you didn't write it. That's none of your business. Your business is to provide the best service possible to your clients and give them information that's going to influence them. And if you can focus on that, I think all of this stuff is going to start clicking for you, versus worrying about, you know, conversion rates and like, I mean, I can see why conversion rates or how many leads came in could matter if you were spending hundreds of hours a week on month's end, and, you know, you're only closing 2%. Well, I mean, I can't, if I said I've spent more than 20 hours on these 6 leads, is it on, like, online or replying, it's a lie. I think on rlpSPHERE altogether, I probably spent 10 hours accepting leads since I've been doing it, if that. Most of the time I'm with the client, or, you know, showing houses or writing a deal or trying to influence them.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Now, speaking of influence, you know, I put together a little list of recommended reading, you know, of, well, one of Shaheen's favorite book here, Measure What Matters by John Dewar. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So this book, it explains how to identify your priorities, set goals, and clearly measure and track them. And is there anything else you want to say about that book and why you love it?
Well, I mean, again, everyone that speaks in that book, you know, from the cover, you can see Bill Gates even, you know, mentioned that book. He actually speaks in the book. You got Google, Intel. There's so many different stories of successful companies, way more successful than I'll ever be. You know, again, some of the stuff when you go through the book is as simple as what we're talking about today with, you know, how you guys have set up, the Royal LePage has set up the smart leads, and, you know, it just dumbs it down for you. It's really what it is, but they do it at a much more higher level that I'll ever get to, but it's a very simple read and a lot of common sense, really what it is, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. You know, and I would say that the Conversion Code by Chris Smith also, that's my favorite book, and, you know, because it's specifically about working online leads, and that one also, it's very common sense. It's not rocket science, but there is a formula. There is a formula that works. the last book that I put on there is a great one. It's called Exactly What to Say, and it's by Philip M. Jones, and it's about learning how to communicate effectively to get what you want. But you know, these resources, like anything, only good if it's used. Now, I've seen some people in the chat asking about, well, how do I use these SMART campaigns? I need resources to further understand them. So I'm going to email you all a recording of this session, but I'll also include this list of resources so you don't need to bother remembering where to find them now, but just letting you know that we do have extensive resources. I've hosted a few webinars and co-hosted some. Our learning services department has all kinds of good training and stuff, so they can help you if you need in-depth help with the campaigns. Okay. And lastly, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you had some good information, that you feel inspired. You can reach out to Shaheen at the contact information you see here if you want to talk to him one-on-one about something, or if you just have a referral for some business in Regina. Don't you forget about him. You know, learning services, like I said, they're here for all of our in-depth training. Use them. That's what they're there for. Our customer care team is here for tech help. And finally, if you want to be my guest speaker, you know, if you have something great to share about online leads, you can call me or email me. Or if you just want to know a bit more about Smart Leads, reach out to me. Okay, well, you know, thank you, Shaheen. This was so much fun, and, you know, you're really inspirational.
Well, thank you for having me, and I hope it was helpful. And you know, you guys have done a really good job with this Smart Leads, and I look forward to continue, you know, converting these leads.
Yeah, well, I wish you continued success, and I know you'll have it because you're using the right tools.
Absolutely.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays.
Take care.
Bye.